Greetings and welcome, y'all. This is the 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents. Now, here, check it out. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. Got a couple people in here. I wanted to do this. Is basically story box audio visual discussion. So I wanted to kind of do this as my first entry. I'm doing stuff like this because it gives me a chance to actually get into the psyche of most of your directors, producers, writers, people in the cinematic universe, and also audio. When we're doing these things, like I said, we want to touch all mediums. And I've been wanting to do this for the longest time. If y'all haven't listened, if you saw the thumbnail, True Noir is the bee's knees. If anybody out there, I'm telling you, if you're into like the old serials, old radio shows, audio, if you want to basically get into that psyche, this is what you want. And again, I am honored because this is my boy that did this. This is my boy who did this. And I am so excited about it. I was like, look, I cannot wait to talk about this, man, because I want to kind of get into the psyche, break it down, bro. I want to get into the whole psyche. This is on some George Lucas-ish. I want to get into it, bro. So definitely, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Robert Meyer Burnett in the building. Back in the building, man. What's going on with you, bro?
Lale, it is first of all, let me just say it was an honor
Mhm.
that you reached out to me about this particular
Mhm.
project because,
Yeah.
when you do these things and you're a YouTube pundit or whatever, and we've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
streaming for years,
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
people hear you go, "Yeah, I'm doing this audio drama," they don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't sit there and go, "Let me tell you what my latest project is."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I've been sitting in this room, basically for the last year going, it's working on
The whole thing, bro.
this
Like
thing
just
and
working and working.
working with my talented team, and
Mhm.
we finally finished. You can finally hear all 10 chapters, but
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
have you in particular reach out, it meant a lot. So
Bro,
it's a real honor for me to be here, and thanks for having me on the channel to talk about this because
bro.
of all the things
Yeah.
I've done in my career, this is something I probably could say that I'm most proud of in
Yeah,
terms
bro.
of something that I was finally able, because when you do things like this, it's a collaborative exercise, and you're
Yeah,
working with
yeah.
all different kinds of creative people, and which I love.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I've never been in, even when I've directed things, you're not always in control. You have other people's, you have to deal with all different kinds of things. But this was the first time that I was sort of given carte blanche, and the team that surrounded me that was
Yeah,
vital to have, they
yeah.
sort of followed, or they allowed me, they liked my vision for this. And
Mhm.
so they gave me a lot of rope, beginning with my business partner, Mike Bodden, who
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
instrumental. And I have to, there's a story about, and YouTube itself
Mhm.
was what created this whole thing, really. So
Yeah.
there's a really, you never know who's watching.
Bro, here's the thing. So I was like, this is what I love to see, bro. Here's the thing, bro. We talk about like IMDb. So I go on to IMDb. I'm just like, okay, when I know this is released, I want to listen to it, but then I want to go back and I want to go and see because it's. I know this is something small, Rob, and you would probably feel me, but when I go on IMDb and I'm looking up certain movies, writers, producers, and stuff like that, people who I admire, and like just films, I always want to go back. I mean, here's the thing, bro. And what a lot of people don't know out there, and I'll explain it. Again, I am a student of the arts. I graduated with a degree. I have an associate's degree in performing arts. So I graduated with that degree. I've done a couple plays, stage shows, even directing in the background, and I was actually intense on writing. So because of that, this particular medium is just so interesting because I like to go back and just look at the names of people who are participating in it. So when I look and I look at True Noir, bro, Assassination of Adam Smith, when I look at it and I see writers credits, I see Mike Baldwin, and then I see Robert Meyer Burnett. And I can actually say, yo, I know that guy, bro. Like I know him. It is so interesting, bro. Like it is one of those things that literally I'm so super duper stoked and excited about. So again, to have you do this particular project, and I know how long you've been working. This is like maybe like almost 2 years, longer than that.
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
like.
And I first of all, I have to say this entire thing was written by Max Allan Collins. I mean, we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
credit, but Max Allan
Mhm.
Collins, who here's the really interesting thing about Max Allan Collins is
Mhm.
I first became aware of who Max Allan Collins was in the 80s
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because he did a run on Batman for
Mhm.
DC Comics.
Mhm.
His own independent comic series, Miss Tree, like
Mhm.
MS, Mrs. Tree, Miss Tree,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that Terry Beattie also drew. And it kind of went when I got into comic books, back into comic books in the early 80s, and I was very much into independent comics and DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
I started seeing like Max Allan Collins, his name, and I, I didn't know him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew
yeah.
that he was in a band called Seduction of the Innocent that would
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
play at Comic Con, and I saw
Mm.
that band a couple of times actually perform,
Mhm.
but I didn't know him at all.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I didn't know the extent of his work. I didn't know that he took over the Dick Tracy comic strip in the Chicago Tribune
Mhm. Mhm.
from Chester Gould, the
Exactly.
original creator of Dick Tracy.
Mhm.
I also did not
Mhm.
know that he wrote the movie novelization for Dick Tracy.
For Dick Tracy with Madonna and
Yeah, and Warren Beatty,
Warren Beatty and all them. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I sort of re-encountered him. He wrote a graphic novel for DC that people might recognize this title, called Road to Perdition. That
Mhm.
became the movie with
That became the movie
Paul
with
Newman
Tom
and Tom
Hanks.
Hanks and Jude
Yeah.
Law and Daniel Craig. I mean,
Mhm. And
and
Superman was
and
in it. He
Tyler
played the
Hoekman.
young kid.
Yes,
Tyler Hoekman was actually, and I was like, "Yo, wait a minute, that's Tyler."
yes.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Man, listen, so I mean, again, not knowing that this was a passion project for you, like, not knowing at that particular time that this would be a passion project, and then when you announcement you was gonna be working on it, and then you were diving deep into it, like, I know the
Right.
process of editing and stuff like that, and, writing and being and, like, gathering everybody. What inspired, like, in the very beginning, was this something that people came to you about, or was it something that you sought after, or
This is okay. This is the wildest thing. So I've known Mike Bodden, my business partner, for like 10 years.
Mhm, mhm,
And Mike Bodden has been very supportive and
mhm,
helped me with many different things. Like when my YouTube channel was young, he got it sponsored. He got my first sponsorship on a YouTube channel.
mhm, mhm,
He helped me out going through this. I was involved with this Star Trek fan film project that went south,
mhm.
Axanar, but we were always trying to do more. We
Yeah,
always
yeah.
wanted to do things, and it's hard. Mike was actually the mayor of Riverdale, Iowa.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was so he, we're always looking to do things, and then he helped me a lot with my YouTube channel. And basically, I have a PO box for my YouTube channel in Iowa, where he lives
Mhm,
in the
mhm.
Quad Cities. Well, one day, Mike Bodden is at lunch with Max Allan Collins, who also
Mm,
lives in Iowa. And
mm.
Max Allan Collins says to him, he goes, Mike, I watched this YouTube channel, the Burnett work, and I watch a
Yeah.
show every Sunday called Let's Get Physical Media.
Mhm.
And I wanted to send him a fan letter. And it turns out the fan letter goes to you. And so Mike calls me when he's at lunch with Phil Dingledine and
Mhm.
Max Allan Collins and puts me on the phone with it.
With
It was such a weird, random confluence of events. I mean, Mike knew Phil and Max, and
Yeah.
Max is writing me a thing. And so, Mike is very entrepreneurial, and Mike was like, well, we should all
Mhm.
do something together.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, what's interesting about Max Allan Collins is he was Mickey Spillane's very good friend.
Mhm,
And Mickey Spillane wrote a character that was really popular in mid-century America called Mike Hammer.
mhm,
And Mike Hammer was this detective. They've done Mike Hammer TV shows. And when Mickey Spillane passed away,
mhm,
uh, he had a number of outlines for, I don't know, it was like 16 books that he never got to write.
mhm,
But Mickey Spillane made sure that Max Allan Collins was sort of he oversaw Mickey Spillane's estate and all of
mhm,
his work and said, listen, finish these books.
mhm,
So Max has been writing Mike Hammer novels for many, many years to finish off, and they're credited as being co-written by Mickey Spillane and Max, because Max carried on his legacy and finished off. He recently wrote the last of these Mickey Spillane novels where they co-wrote them.
mhm,
So one of the things, and we talked about the fact that, wow, maybe we should do something that involved Mike Hammer. Well, it turns out that Skydance, which is
mhm,
buying Paramount, has the rights, and Max is an executive producer on whatever Mike Hammer movie they make. So that was cool. He couldn't do that. But then Mike said, well, what's something else? And Max is like, well, I've written a series of novels about a detective named Nathan Heller. And it's an original series. And the thing about the Nathan Heller novels, which makes them really interesting, is they begin in 1932 and they go all the way to the late 60s. And there's currently 19 novels and 2 novellas, short stories. But what makes them cool is Nathan Heller is a fictional detective, but he gets involved in real
world historical events. Like, how you the amalgamation of that. Yeah,
bro. It's like Forrest Gump, how Forrest Gump was involved in all these real, or Woody Allen's movie Zelig, how Zelig showed up in all these different fictional.
It's even like, you know what? It's sort of even like for instance, The Watchmen, how basically they're fictional characters,
yes,
but they show up in fictional events, and it, you know what I mean? It's sort of just like that. But
yes, and I said, I don't know if it was me who said audio drama or Max or Mike, but when I was a kid, I loved Star Trek and the Twilight Zone, but I also loved the CBS Radio Mystery Theater.
Yeah,
that was on it was on at 10:07 every night. I think it was on Cairo, our local CBS affiliate in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I was in my bed at 10:07 and it was hosted by, at first it was hosted by E.G. Marshall. They did thousands of episodes.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, they used the music because it was CBS from the original Twilight Zone series.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was totally enamored of these audio dramas. Some of them scared the hell out of me, to be honest.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I remember one called Charnel House that really scared me. But so I listened to that, and then NPR did their Star Wars audio dramas. And then after that, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I was completely obsessed with. It was before I read the books. I loved hearing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and
bro,
I used to audio tape them, and I had a paper route, and I'd walk around. I had 53 houses and walk around and deliver papers listening to Hitchhiker's Guide. So I always loved the audio drama series. And now knowing how hard it is to produce movies, I thought, well, if Max is offering up his Nathan Heller books, what a cool thing to do. And I've always loved audio dramas, but working on film, I always thought to myself, why aren't audio dramas like more dynamic? I heard like the Sandman audio drama. I love the Sandman. That's politically correct to say now, but I thought they did a great job. Like 13 hours, the Sandman audio drama was amazing. And I thought to myself, I would love to do an audio drama, but mix it like it's a movie.
Yeah.
And I'd never made an audio drama before. So I'm like, if we could make it cinematic, so
boy, do you.
Well, yes, thank you. So I was like,
bro.
So the funny thing about it was, a lot of people, first of all, an audio drama lives and dies by its script, the writing. And there's all kinds of, like, there's been some interesting, there's a great Batman audio drama called Batman Unburied that David Goyer wrote. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
And so I started listening to books on tape, but they were not what I wanted to do. And Max, we coerced Max, I don't know how we did it, but to adapt the first Nathan Heller novel.
Yeah.
And the first Nathan Heller novel is called True Detective. And ironically, this is sort of an irony. Obviously, we could not use True Detective as the title because HBO did. But the person that wrote and created True Detective is the man who's currently writing the Mike Hammer script that Max is the executive producer on for Skydance, which is kind of wacky.
Yeah.
So we had to come up with a new title, like something like, how there's Star Wars, and then there's Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars. So we tossed around a bunch of titles, and we came up with the idea of True Noir, because it's a noir detective story. But in a way, I like the fact that it's true but fictional.
Yeah.
So
true events, but with fictional characters.
With fictional characters.
And you get to kind of play around in that playground to make it. Yeah, bro. You okay? So Rob, all right. Here's the thing.
So there's the
Let's
tale.
let these people. We gotta let these people know. So anybody out there who's listening, thank you guys for actually tuning in. But I'm just gonna rumble off some names here because these are names of people that we all know. First of
Yeah.
all, Michael Rosenbaum as Nathan Heller. All right. Now, who everybody will always say, and till this day, we love Gene Hackman. But
Yes.
after Gene Hackman, Michael Rosenbaum was one of the best Lex Luthors that ever played the role. Like literally, an incredible actor and an incredible presence on in this production. But then you go to Thomas Howell, bro. People, a lot of Thomas Howell. Again, when we talk about Thomas Howell, you have to, bro. We're talking about the same Thomas Howell from Soul Man, bro.
Dude, I know.
You know what I mean? Soul Man, bro, like straight up was one of the most incredible, bro. I mean, incredible movies back in the day, and I've always loved it.
Do you think people could still watch it now without getting triggered?
Bro, here's the thing,
Because it's
because
it's so funny. It's such
it is so funny, but it's just like now they would get triggered off of it because, and back then, bro, like we watched it, but it was just, here's the thing. I think if you watch it, you won't get triggered once you see what it is.
Yes.
Once you understand the story and once it goes in like along the way, but it just depends. In this current climate, you never know. It's just, you never know. Bro, you got Richard Portman. You got the great Chris Carr, bro. She is magnificent in this, bro.
Isn't she great?
She's magnificent. Chris Carr is amazing, bro. Like she is so amazing at everything that she does. I mean, come on, man. Like voiceover work is. I want to see her beyond just voiceover work.
Well, it's funny. One of the things about, people always say it's not what you know, it's who you know in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, Chris Carr was somebody I met. We were streaming on YouTube on the John Campea show together.
Yeah.
And she talked about, I do voiceover and all this. And I loved when we would do shows together, when we do the Weekly Hero, and I would make her, like, she was my trained monkey. I'm like, perform, and I would make her do voices.
Yeah.
And she could do voices immediately. And one of the things that was really apparent to me about Chris was, first of all, she's really, really smart.
Yeah.
She's a really smart, very empathetic person.
Mm-hmm.
And she also has an amazingly quick wit and a fantastic sense of humor. But her ability to instantaneously create voices, I don't have that ability.
Like that.
And it's like people who are animators or comedians. Animators think up things. They think about the world in ways I will never think about. And comedians also, I'm always amazed at people who do stand-up. Stand-up is one of the things I would love to have done in my life. I just can't. I can't think that up. So Chris was one of the only people at first when we first started this project. I'm just gonna call people I know. And I had not. We didn't have a script yet.
Yeah.
And Max hadn't written his script yet. So Chris was somebody from the very beginning that I wanted to use. And I told her about this, and she's probably like, yeah, whatever, Rob, you're happy-go-lucky, have some more whiskey. It's all good.
Yeah.
No, because people don't know.
Yeah.
So, but she was one of the very first people I wanted to be in this project.
Bro.
And I didn't even know it was going to be.
She's transformative, bro. And what I mean by that is, bro, she, like when it's like, we always say that there's actors, great actors, and people who do work, they become the character. It's almost like the character becomes her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it is, and you get so submersed in that space. And I think that she's definitely a standout, bro.
Yeah.
But you have, bro, like we're talking about. Who else have we got in here?
You got like people like Vincent Pastore
from
The Sopranos,
Barry Bostwick, bro.
Barry Bostwick, who was in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and
Anthony LaPaglia, who I was just watching on Empire Records today, bro.
Well, you know what's really funny about Anthony LaPaglia is that he was actually in Road to Perdition, playing Al Capone, but his part got cut out of the film. And it was only one scene, but you can see his part on YouTube. So I had said, well, we're jumping a little ahead because I have to talk about how I got this cast.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wonder if we could get Anthony LaPaglia to play Al Capone.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my Christine Sheeks, our supervising producer who cast the whole thing as well, she's like, we can get anybody you want. You know, you just have to schedule it and pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, like Chris Carr, I knew Jeff Combs from
Mm-hmm.
obviously Star Trek. He was Dr. Herbert West in Reanimator.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey Combs. So he was one of the first people I called and
Yeah.
talked to when I said, listen, I want you to play Anton Cermak. And he laughed. He goes, well, I've never played a mayor before, and I've certainly never played someone who was assassinated before. So he was intrigued. But, you know, people like Saverio Guerra, who was in a great Italian actor who plays 2 roles in this.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he was the Mocha Joe on the I want to say Larry Sanders on why am I drawing a blank? On not Larry Sanders, it's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, he was Mocha Joe. And I'm and so
Yeah.
we were able to get him.
Yeah.
And Corey Landis, who is a friend of mine who plays Walter Winchell, he read with a lot of the actors. We got him.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Lombardi, who was on The Sopranos in 24.
Mm-hmm.
Don McManus is another actor that he's been on things like The West Wing. Of course, Billy Mooney, who plays a small role, was in Max's band.
Yeah.
Billy Mooney was from the original Twilight Zone episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Good Life. You're a bad man. Go into the cornfield.
Yep.
And he was Will Robinson. Of course, Patton Oswalt is in it.
Yeah. William Sadler, bro.
Bill Sadler, who I worked with on Hills Run Red. Katie Sackhoff, the Mandalorian herself.
Bro.
I mean, she's a Mandalorian, you know. Bo-Katan Kryze.
Bro.
Come on.
When you told me
the great Bill Smitrovich, who was in Crime Story, and he was in Michael Mann's Red Dragon. He was in Band of the Hand, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, David Strathairn, who was nominated for an Academy Award for Good Night, Good Luck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just, we have a murderer's row of great actors, character actors, just, and that was kind of, I have to tell that story about how we got them.
Yeah, bro. That's where we're at though, because here's the thing: is it's like what goes, and I guess I'll ask that question after. Well, no, I'll ask it before because it's uniform and they're kind of interconnected. But what goes into you get the score, you get the script, you read the story, you read the.
This is the whole thing. I mean, it all comes down to the writing. And when I asked Max, I mean, I had not read a Max Allan Collins novel until this project began. And I read the novel True Detective, his first Nathan Heller novel.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a sprawling, evocative, dark, interesting from a historical perspective. I mean, it is such a rich novel. And the writing was so evocative. I mean, to read that book, I mean, sometimes you'd feel the snow come off the pages that's coming down on the streets of Chicago, and you could smell the smells and the sights and the sounds. I mean, his writing was so good.
But this is how you've done this. That's what I was saying.
And the funny thing was, I'm like, I wonder if because Max is adapting his own book.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, sometimes authors, some of my favorite directors, Stanley Kubrick, like he worked with Vladimir Nabokov, who wrote Lolita, to write the script for Lolita. Yeah. Sometimes it works. Other times it might not work. And I had never read any. I mean, I'd never read a script Max Allan Collins wrote. And when at first it was like, oh, I'll invite my friends. When I read the first script that he sent, and he adapted, he wrote 10 separate scripts that became the full-on adaptation. His scripts, and you know me, I was talking about scripts. I was a story analyst. I was a reader. I read 3,000 screenplays professionally as a story analyst. His scripts, and this is not hyperbole. You can listen to it yourself and tell me I'm wrong. His scripts were some of the best I had ever read. And I know he was adapting his own book, but that's got to be hard for an author to do. Yeah. And when I got his scripts and I'm reading this going, holy shit. Like it was then that I realized we had something really special here. And if this is the quality, so I knew that I couldn't just call my friends. I had to step up my game, and I knew that we had to start taking this very seriously.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was I called my friend Christine Sheeks, and she had cast. I mean, she came out of casting and now is a producer, and she kind of left the business. You know, she moved away. She converted to Judaism. She moved to Tennessee, and I contacted her, and I used to call her my professional wife because she does. There's no bullshit with her, and she'll call me on my bullshit. So she was amazing. And I said, listen, I left a message. I go, I got this audio drama. I need some legitimacy. I've got to get the right actors for this, and I need you in this project. And she didn't call me back for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I'd send her the scripts, and I'm like, and it wasn't until then I got this call from her, and she's like, oh my God, I didn't know what the hell you were calling me about. I thought it was another fakakta idea of yours.
Yep.
And she's like, then I read these screenplay. I read the audio scripts. And she's like, these scripts are amazing. And I work with the Coen brothers. You know, she cast Coen brothers movies. And I said, I want to cast this movie like a Coen brothers movie, like Raising Arizona, like Miller's Crossing, which is my touchstone. And I'm like, I need you to help me.
Yeah.
You know, and like I do, I'm just, then I call Mike Bodden, my business partner. I'm like, we're going to hire this woman to help us produce this. And he's like, oh, really? You know, because I just go off half cock most of the time. No, it's going to go do this. We're going to do that. But Mike's like, well, okay, then. And so we brought on Christine because she knows everybody at the agencies. So I don't know anyone. I can't just, and I told her we have to keep Chris Carr.
Yeah.
And we have to keep Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
But other than that,
you just had an idea.
And it's for her. So what people don't understand is like they see casting director, the credit and the opening titles of a movie. They're like, what does that person do? Well, first of all, Christine comes on as a producer and she has to manage me so I don't spin off into oblivion. But what she does is she brings me ideas. And she'll be like, she'll read the script and she'll go, you know, who could we cast for these roles? And what was great is Christine and I have always been simpatico in terms of our taste.
Yeah.
So she starts bringing me these actors going, what about this person? What about that person? And her instincts are amazing. And I'm like, that would be amazing. Can we get that person? She's like, sure, why not? We'll try it. And so she was somebody that would bring me these ideas and we would commiserate and we'd talk about all these roles. And we didn't even have all of Max's script yet. I think at this point we had 3 of the 10. And by the way, working with Max, it was like Christmas morning every time you got another script. Like I remember reading the script for episode 4, which had Al Capone in it, and the whole opening. And I said to Christine, the first person we cast was Anthony LaPaglia. We went after him. And he was doing a play in our favorite country, Australia. So he's from Australia. He's an Australian guy.
He's definitely Australian. Yeah.
He was doing Death of a Salesman on stage in Sydney. And so I thought, my first inclination was, oh, we can't get him to do it. And then we're like, wait a minute, we're just recording audio. We can do whatever we want.
We can do
So
over there.
he agreed to do it, and he did it on what was a dark day. So he did it on a Monday Sydney time. He had done both a matinee and an evening performance the night before. And so we had him, the methodology was we had him go to a recording studio in Sydney. We're connected through Zoom.
Okay.
And I was directing him and the recording studio was recording his voice.
While you were directing and everything.
Yeah. And I had an actor reading with him. That was another thing we can talk about. But because normally when you do animation, or you have an actor come in and read in a booth by themselves. For this, one of the things I said was there is no way an actor could go in and do like a 15-minute conversation in a booth where he's doing one line or she's doing one line. I had to have an actor, a good actor who's versatile and smart,
Mhm.
to read, because we had to do these like scenes, not like single lines. I needed people, because
To
by the way,
interact, you needed to
they
have that
I
interaction,
gotta
and
have, and that means I had to
yeah,
have a great, and by the way, we did not have a lead actor for this yet.
it was just going. You didn't have Michael Rosenbaum at
We
that
didn't have
point.
Michael Rosenbaum, and the thought was, and this is an interesting story. The thought was we would go, we wanted to find an A-list actor to anchor this.
Mhm.
So what you do is, when you're trying to get an A-list actor, you have to make them an offer.
Mhm.
Like, you have to have a monetary offer, and we were able to privately raise the equity financing to make this. So then you go to an agency, and you make the agency who represents whomever,
Mhm.
you make them an offer. And we did that, and then you have to wait.
Mhm.
Sometimes that actor's working and they can't read the script, so we would wait 2 or 3 weeks, and
Mhm.
we would started to get back answers where people said, our client loves this, but we can't make it work schedule wise, or our client loves this, but for whatever reason can't do it. So I'm recording all of the other actors, and we have no lead. And
While
so,
you're working on getting
yeah,
everybody else,
and
which
so
is a
we,
smart way of doing it, because at least you have these people. You're and because it doesn't have to be recorded in sequence.
mm-mm.
Out of sequence in audio, you can just basically record it, have each voice catalog, have it there. So then when you finally can put all the other pieces together, you have this and it works.
Yeah, and it was Corey Landis, who plays Walter Winchell in the audio drama. I'd known him from before, and he came on and read with all the actors,
Mhm.
and he was amazing.
Mhm.
He was absolutely amazing, and he himself, again, a very smart, very instinctive actor. And I'm putting him down with all of these really experienced actors, and he held his
Yeah.
own.
Mhm.
And then I was able. It was a really fun process, actually. So
Mhm.
I was working out of a place called Private Island with a man
Mhm.
named Mike McDonald I've worked with for a long time.
Mhm.
So I would go there, and a lot of these actors, Barry Bostwick was in Orlando, Florida. C. Tommy Howell was
Barry
in
Bostwick, bro. That's
Barry
my
Bostwick.
guy, bro.
I mean, he was Rocky Horror Picture Show. He was a lead voice in Fantastic Planet.
Bro, you know what I remember Barry Bostwick from? And it's a B movie that a lot of people that Megaforce,
Mega
bro.
dude. The good guys always win.
Yeah,
Even in the 80s.
exactly, bro. Megaforce was because he was like a Nick Fury in
He
Megaforce,
was
bro.
Ace Hunter.
Yeah, bro.
And he was so, I mean, he was so much fun to work with. And so,
Yeah.
we were recording some of the time the actors would come in if they were local, like the great Bill
Mhm.
Smitrovich
Mhm.
came in because he was local. Jeffrey Combs came in because he was
Yeah.
local. Louis Lombardi was in town, so he came in. Don McManus was local. So that was fun. So it was Corey, the actor, me and Mike, or Chantal Lee, who recorded all the voices. And it was a really great experience. And
Yeah.
we spent hours working, and I was recording, and I was getting the performances I wanted. And I knew that I was going to replace Corey with whomever our lead was.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we spent all last summer of 2024, recording all of these actors. And, each actor, because Max's script was so good, they took
Yeah.
it very seriously. And what was
Mhm.
fun was I also had Max come in, because a lot of directors don't like it when the writer's around, but
Mhm.
Max has directed his own films, and
Mhm.
I was like, he wrote it, man. And to me, I treated it like theater. In
Yeah.
theater, you don't change a word. Like when you're
Yeah.
working with David Mamet's script, it's sacrosanct. You don't touch it.
Yeah.
So I had Max come in, and he was watching the session via Zoom,
Mhm.
and we would record everything that I would say, Max, do we have this? And if Max thought that there was something that needed to be emphasized, or Max could add historical context, which I
Mhm.
don't know because I
Mhm.
didn't, do the research.
Mhm.
He was an invaluable resource, and he was there. He sat there the whole time for the hours and hours and hours we recorded these voices. Max was there the whole time, and he was an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like me, he was like a kid in a candy store, because he's hearing these actors bring
Bring that story
to
to
life that
life.
he had,
Everything that yeah, bro. Like bro, to feel that. To know that you have what was in your head and what was something that was imagined is translated in real time and given, and sometimes given the inflection beyond which you could possibly even, it's like when they make it their own, they might turn it into something you're like, why didn't I think of that? Like,
Yeah,
why
well,
didn't I bring that? You know what I mean, bro?
dude,
It's,
that is exactly, and I got to tell you, I think every director and every person that works, especially writers,
Mhm.
what you want is you want an actor to take what's on the page
And transform
and
it, bro.
yes, and make it their own and
Yeah.
imbue it with a power that even
Mhm.
the writer didn't know was there.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
And it was, dude, I got to tell you, just sitting, first of all, you can't be starstruck, and
Bro.
there was some, like, C. Thomas Howell has a pretty small role. So I said
Mhm.
to when he agreed to do it, it was kind of embarrassing. So I said to Max, I go, "Can we beef his role up? Can you write him a little bit more?"
Mhm.
And he took this role. He just plays a sheriff, but he gave him this gravelly voice. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, you're
Yeah.
listening. So for me, I get really excited, but my directorial style is to let an actor, because an actor brings you a character.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I actually learned something when I was doing, because I did so much behind the scenes special features work for DVDs for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
got to talk to a lot of actors about their process. And one of the most interesting lessons I learned was when I was doing, back in 2001, the Usual Suspects documentaries. And Benicio del Toro said, Bryan Singer said about Benicio, he goes, his character, his purpose in that movie was to die.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he didn't have much to do. So Benicio said, I can really do anything. I can make this character
Mhm.
however I want it. And he kind of made him, he called it, which is funny, Mumbles, like Mumbles from Dick Tracy.
Mhm.
He said his character Fenster could be like Mumbles because
Yeah.
his purpose was to die. And he's like, I'll flip you for real. He had the way of talking.
Yeah.
And Brian said, Fenster, he said, I'm going to bring you a character. If you like the character, we'll do the character. If you don't like the character, we'll do another character. But it was Benicio's choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these actors brought their A game, and a
Mhm.
lot of them had a lot of fun with it. And what was really fun, one of the first days we recorded, Louis Lombardi, Vincent Pastore, and Severo Aguirre, they all knew each other because they'd all played Italians and The
Yeah.
Sopranos and stuff. So two of them were in New York, and Louis was in the studio. They just started busting each other's balls because they all knew each other, and that energy fed
Yeah.
into their performances.
Because they're already connected,
They're already connected,
and
man.
it's like competitive and fun banter back and forth, but because you know each other, you have that level of comfortability and you can bring it. You know what I mean? That, bro, like, name dropping these names, bro. I'm like, this was huge, bro. Do you even do you even realize how huge this is?
Well, it's funny because when you, like, my whole thing with whatever I work on, because to be honest, in
Mhm.
my life, I've worked on a lot of small indie things that need help.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, I've never been able to make something and gone and grabbed what I really wanted and put it together.
Mhm.
And in this process, I already had the gold, which was the
Mhm.
script.
Yeah.
I already had what I needed. It was the best script I would ever, even look, man. I wrote a movie that I directed, and I will say that my script and the Mark Allman script, our script for Free Enterprise, doesn't hold a candle to the script that Max Allan Collins wrote. So I
Mhm.
have this amazing gift. Now, when you have, the problem is you can't fuck it up. Like, I'm given this whole thing, and there's been a lot of directors who have messed up great scripts.
Mhm.
I
So
had Christine to get the actors. So I would like to say, look, I've talked a lot of mad shit about what's good and bad and what should be done in the entertainment business. So I also knew that if I mess this up, I'm
when
a
it came to
fraud.
your time
Yeah.
to do this,
It
then
better be
people are
good.
going to look at you like, well, remember you said such
Yeah.
and such, whatever. So it definitely becomes, it's not just a passion project. It's a project that you don't like. It's sort of like when we talk about the projects that we do it for fun. We do it because we want to have the fun and it's just for the artistry. But this was an important event. It's
Yeah.
so important because you have the actors depending on your directorial debut, and they're depending on the writing, they're depending on the time within that particular space, what they can play around with, for you to give that direction to tell them whether or not they can play the character a certain way. There's a lot that goes into this because, and here's the thing, is the reason why I say that you created that, because I was listening to it, I was like, this is something, honestly, that visually, when I'm thinking about it and I'm watching, this is something I visualize in late October, early November.
Yeah.
This is the way I visualize
Well, that's how it started. That would be the right time, because, Max talks about, Nathan Heller talks about seeing the snow coming down and
exactly,
dusting
bro.
the city. And
yeah, it's that atmosphere that you can feel. And I'm like, whoa, I feel almost bad listening to it now because I do, and I'm going to revisit this in October, November. This is something, because, bro, I told you earlier when we were backstage, my dad used to sit us down, and this is like when it was my dad, we used to go visit my grandparents in Long Island, and we used to basically sit down and we would just listen to a lot. Like we had like a record player. We used to plug the cable in the back of it so we can get the extended channels, because we didn't get all the actual channels. So we would actually plug the cable into the back of the actual record player. It was like a big, huge old record player. You open the top lid where the record was. It was a radio as well. We would plug the cable in and we would get all the serial programming, like the auto serial programming.
Yeah.
And that's what like Dick Tracy, Shadow. There were a couple of other ones that we would actually listen, even like some of the audio for Twilight Zone at that time.
Yeah.
We would even listen to.
When I was a kid too, I forgot to mention there was Power Records, and they did, you'd get a comic book, and you put the record in and you'd flip the pages. There was a Captain America and Falcon comic.
And it had a record in the.
Yeah, it had a record, and you listen to the Planet of the Apes. They did Star Trek. I love those. I mean, I can even think I love when I can hear the Falcon and Captain America's voice, and like they get in a fight, and Falcon's like, "Don't give me that out of my time, Jazz." I can hear, and they talked about like adhesive X. It can't be. The man who invented it died years ago. I know. I watched him die. Like I can hear the.
Bro, you're taking it back to like the old 45 records that
they were 45.
They were 45s, bro. I used to put. That's what they got, bro.
And I loved them. I played.
I loved them. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And it was all so. Working on this. What was really interesting too was one of the things I decided I wanted this to be. I told everybody, this is going to be cinema, but without the pictures.
Yeah.
And people are like, so one of the things, excuse me, one of the things I wanted to have was a score, a music score. And so Alexander Bornstein, who I knew, who wrote the Robservations theme for my YouTube channel, I worked with him 10 years ago on the Star Trek fan film. I got him hired on a movie I edited. And every time I call Alex, he always took my phone calls. And I said, listen, I need you to score like a movie, this audio drama. And he's like, okay. And, again, what does that mean? And when I started sending him the scripts, he's like, oh. And I said, I want a Goldsmith score like Chinatown meets LA Confidential. And, a lot of people can just do scores on their synthesizers, but Alex will bring in real players. He'll bring in real horn players, which he did to play what he'd written. But then he did a very smart thing. He would have a sax player just riff, just, improv, do improv sax jazz, and he'd record it. And suddenly he's got a real player that he could use those improvs and layer in.
And in different placement, because you can cut them up and use them in different placement. You can add the audio. That's the beauty of it, being a music engineer myself, audio engineer.
Yes.
That's the beauty of being able to take those things and place them and play around with it. Because the thing is, it becomes the character, and it might be something that best describes the character in certain scenes.
His score, like he was going to write like an hour of original music. He wrote like 3. And his music's incredible. Like there's a prize fight in this
Mhm.
this story, and he wrote like this rocky. We've kind of buried it in the mix in the actual audio drama, but when you hear the real cue, it's like a total Rocky's taking on Apollo Creed. You know, it's the end of Rocky 2. I mean, it was
Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
His
Yeah.
action cues. I mean, he wrote love themes. He wrote
Mhm.
his score is incredible,
Mhm.
and that was something else. A lot of audio dramas don't have that, and I'm like,
Mhm.
we got to have a music score. When I heard his
Yeah.
score, it was unbelievable. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm just listening to this going, but it's funny because one of the things that what I like about making anything is I love hiring really talented people that know more than I do.
Mhm.
That I know, like, I go to Alex, I'm like, hey man, here's what I want. Go to
Mhm.
town.
Mhm.
And then I get so excited. It's like I said, Christmas morning to get Max's scripts. But then when I
Yeah.
would get Alexander Bornstein's uh, music for each episode, I'm like, holy shit. I'd be like, listen, put on my headphones
Just
and
play it
listen
back.
to it. Like, oh, this is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you realize, oh, he wrote this music for my audio drama. And then
Mhm.
you're dropping it in, going, it's like it was incredible. And that
Mhm.
I feel like everybody uh who took part in this
So
project,
many intricate pieces, bro.
yeah. And I gotta give a shout out. I gotta give a shout out to my business partner, Mike, because
Yeah.
he was facilitating the financing for this.
Mhm.
Well, let's just say I wasn't always mindful of that. And I'm like, yeah, Mike, we're gonna hire all these people and we're gonna have music. And oh wait, yeah, we owe another $10,000. And I'm like, to be fair, he just was like, he rolled with that. And because he also knew that I might be a little crazy, but
Yeah.
I'm getting it done,
Mm.
and what we were doing was you
Mhm.
could tell we were doing, and I will say we were doing something special. The proof's in the
Bro.
pudding. You can, and people
You
would
can
say,
s
well, it's just an audio drama. I'm like,
Nah.
well, yes.
Nah. No. Then obviously people listen, bro, I told you. The thing is, and when you touched on the audio, because I know I was reading stories like, even with, when their approach to like so a lot of audio dramas, they felt as though that adding a score in too many places took away from the dialogue, that people would focus in more on that. So they cut certain audio and you would only hear audio placement or audio like the score placement in the beginning, the middle, and then most of the times in the end. So you
Yeah.
would never hear the audio placement in between like character dialogue as much because they felt as though people it would take away. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm like, how if it's faint and it's enough to basically beat it because you're building up the drama in that particular scene, it gives it so much more emotion. So capturing that, and then on top of that, bro, like like you said, you can smell the streets, hear the horns, like almost hear the cigarette puffs and everything that's
Oh,
going on,
it's
bro.
it's fun. One of my favorite sound effects, and
Yeah,
it's subtle. Al Capone is smoking through the
yeah,
entire scene. And so we
yeah,
had Michael McDonald at Private Island. We had a real Foley team. Like
yeah,
you work on and Foley is when you have guys making the sounds that would happen, like if somebody pulls a gun out of their holster, they
yeah.
have to record that scene.
That
Well,
sound like that, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
you'll
Yeah,
hear
the
the you'll
sheaths,
hear the
whatever. Yeah, bro.
you'll hear the
Yeah,
you'll hear and then when he puts his cigar and he puts it out in his hand. And what I
yeah.
was hearing, this is a really so here's a really interesting. So because we didn't have a lead actor,
Mhm,
and I wanted to keep the production process rolling,
mhm,
I read each individual script and I
mhm.
did the parts of all the actors. And I'm no actor, but I'm reading it out. And then in between, I would give notes about what sound effects I wanted to hear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I would send that out to
Mhm.
Mike McDonald and they would start building the entire sound effects bed
Yeah.
based on my read.
Interpretation and your what you yeah.
And then Alexander Bornstein would start scoring, and he scored like a movie. He would score to my voiceover. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we had, there's underscore for almost every scene. We
Mhm.
didn't just, I mean, there's music all the way through. And it was funny because one of the first people, somebody I sent this to who also made an audio drama, he said that. He goes, I found the music distracting. And I disagreed. And I'm like, but
See,
you made an audio drama, and that thinking is like, oh, you have to train your brain to listen to this.
Yeah.
And I disagreed. And I think once you settle in, like the first 12 minutes of episode 1 takes a little time to get going.
Yeah.
And it's a little slower because I wanted people, it turns into an action scene, but I wanted people to acclimate to what they're hearing. Nathan Heller, our main character, is just drinking at a speakeasy. These two cops, the two Harrys, Harry Lang and Harry Miller, kind of rope him into going to do this thing. And it sort of teaches you what's happening. And then
the
you
atmosphere and everything, bro.
And then the latter half of episode 1 is you meet Anton Cermak, the mayor, and it's a long conversation between Jeffrey Combs and, of course, our great actor Michael Rosenbaum himself.
Bro, I'm right there with you, bro. Like, how can you? What is there that is distracting? Like, why would it? And that's the thing, is because if it's in my mind, in the way I'm listening, I'm hearing this, is like, if it's definitely not distracting in film, because film, we have dialogue, we have the score, certain themes that are playing in the background. You'll listen to that, but I think those themes, those, even the low, like those, here's the thing, is like, we talk about this all the time, vibrations in music influences the emotions.
Yeah.
It builds up, it's the motivation to really encapsulate yourself in that scene. It really project it. You're just so focused in that particular scene. It's the vibrations that moves the emotions, so you can understand what those actors are going through in that moment. So to have it is, I think it's all the best placement, because it brings it all together. So how is that distracting though? That's
well, I don't think it is. I think people though have to hear it, because they're not used to hearing it. It's like I've always said, this sounds funny to say, but people have to be trained to watch movies.
Yeah.
It's the difference between knowing how to read and being literate. And what we were doing, my cinematic approach to all this is kind of extreme compared to what people are normally used to. Like if you're listening to an audiobook or you're listening to certain audio dramas, and I was always calling this a fully immersive audio drama. And people are like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like you said, I want people to put on their great headphones, or if you have a home theater system,
really feel the atmosphere.
Yeah. It's in 5.1 if you want to get that. You can listen to it in 2 ways. There's the 2-channel stereo mix. And if you have really good headphones, earbuds, you don't hear the full range of sound in earbuds. But if you have really great headphones, you'll hear it. And if you have a home theater system and you download the file, dude, 5.1, I mean, we mixed it like a movie.
In your earphones, in the headphones, like I said, because you can hear like the filters, high pass filters used to make the sound move from one set to the other.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. It's like, if you close your eyes and really listen to it, it's just like, yo, I'm here. I'm right here, bro.
Oh, you'll hear the train go from the rear to the channels to the front channels, and bullets go all whiz around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a scene, the assassination scene in episode 6.
Yeah.
It just, from a sound design standpoint, it was enormous. You're at a real location that was at Bayfront Park in Miami.
Yeah.
Thousands of people are there. The president shows up. You have Nathan Heller looking for an assassin. I mean, it was crazy to mix.
Yeah.
There was one scene during the prize fight, there was 300 channels of audio.
Because you can hear everybody, like during the prize fight, it's like you're there in the arenas right there.
Yeah.
It was so, Rob, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is excellent work. And then my other page was like, this motherfucker was busy. He was busy, because there's no way that you can half-ass this. You have to have the focus, because the thing is, you're hearing the mix, you're hearing everything that, you know what I mean? You're hearing just the atmosphere during the dialogue. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
And those things have to play well. It's like they have to match. Everything is a beautiful marriage within those particular scenes. Each scene, moving from each scene. And the thing is, and like I told you, bro, when you talk to Chris Carr tomorrow, tell her she's excellent, bro.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
Excellent. Because it's just what she brings to it. Just her. And of course, Katie Sackhoff. You already know.
Well,
But
it was, I mean, like there's sex scenes in this.
yeah.
And that was another thing. Like, what was really interesting was I didn't know Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
First of all, her performance, she's amazing.
She is, bro.
She wanted to talk to me. God bless her. She wanted to talk to me. And what's funny was Christine Sheeks and I really loved her in Longmire.
Yes.
She was in Longmire. She was so good in Longmire. And that's why she
Mhm.
came up. It wasn't like people are like, oh, you just want her because she's in Battlestar Galactica and The Mandalorian. I'm like, well, yeah, but
she's done other work.
Yeah, and she's
done other work.
She's a great actress.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic actress. And
Yeah.
she was actually up in Portland when we recorded her, but she called me the night before and she goes, tell me, I really like this character. Tell me what you expect from me. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And how do you see this character? And I told her, I said, well, in 1932, she works at City Hall. So she is a woman, a very empowered woman that has a pretty great job. I mean, we're at the very end of Prohibition, but we're 4 years into the Great Depression, or 3 years in the Great Depression. But she's a woman that commands respect, but she's also very feminine. She loves her boyfriend, but she's also she wants her life to be a good life. So she's not going to put up with any shit. Yeah. And so we had this great conversation, and she brought in this character again when she starts doing it. And like, you have to understand, we still hadn't cast Michael Rosenbaum yet. so she's doing this intimate scene with Corey Landis, who did a great job, but she brought her A game. Yeah. Like when you Alan Ang at Film Threat, he said he listened to it. He goes, that was one of the most erotic, emotional, and sad sex scenes I've ever heard. And I was like, well, then we did our job, and she didn't flinch. And she said she loved the character. Again, she loved the writing. She loved Max's writing.
And you can tell everybody loved the writing, bro.
Oh,
you can tell that everybody, because it's the thing is, and I even think like doing the audio doing this is even more challenging because you're not really seeing the expression.
No.
And so every emotion, you can't act it out with your face. I mean, you can within the comfort of your own space, but nobody else is looking at you. Right. So you have to make your voice has to be believable. Every inflection, every piece of it has to be believable. Interactions between, anybody who's within that scene, it has to be believable. So it's challenging. So I can only imagine with something like that.
And it's also, it was like, how far do you go with the sound effects? I mean, because you're threading a very thin line when it would become laughable.
Yeah.
So less was more.
Yeah.
But I was really, and that episode 3.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking at the end of that. And you want to create these heartbreaking moments. And what was really, and I didn't really realize this until we were deep into production, but Max did his scripts weren't just good, but each script, it's 10 chapters, but each chapter he did something different. And the way he kind of structured these, so there are these long conversations with smattering of action or moving around. He's the guy is such a great writer. Yeah. He brilliantly structured every episode. So every episode is almost its own journey unto itself. And it takes you different places. Like there are action-oriented episodes. Like another thing that I really loved about this was, so there's an Italian assassin, Giuseppe Zangara. And it was Christine who said to me, she goes, Severio, because normally in audio dramas, you have lots of actors. Like Jeffrey Combs is in the new Watchmen animated. Yeah. Katie Sackhoff, by the way.
Yep, both of them.
So they play multiple. Jeffrey Combs does multiple roles, and normally to save money. We have all these actors were SAG. This was a SAG production,
Mm-hmm.
Screen Actors Guild production. So you could have actors doing multiple roles. The only person we had really doing a multiple role was Severio Guerra, and Christine suggested it. And Severio, I brought it up to him. I called him. I said, "Hey, man, you know, you're playing Harry Lang, the cop, but what if you did the Italian assassin?" And he was kind of nervous. He's like, "Well, what would it be?" I go, "Well, I don't know. I mean, he's an immigrant," and he goes, "Well, let me think about it."
Mm-hmm.
And I called him the next day, and he goes, "I've got it. I'm gonna do my grandfather. My grandfather was the
Mm.
first generation Italian immigrant."
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to, that's the spice of meatball. I didn't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that. But there is a tinge of that because Italian immigrants speak the way they speak.
You didn't want it to be too over the top, that
No,
you wanted it to be pay respect to what's
believable.
there,
My
but
favorite
also
word,
believable.
verisimilitude. Always verisimilitude. And
Exactly.
when he did the voice for me, I'm
Mhm.
like, that's it, dude.
Yeah,
That is it.
yeah.
And he has this really great long scene with Corey Landis, who read with all the actors, but playing the great broadcaster Walter Winchell, who's interviewing the assassin in a jail cell in
Mhm.
Miami. It's a
Mhm.
phenomenal scene.
Yeah.
And when I put it together, it's very funny. At the end, spoiler alert, the assassin was fried in the electric chair. This is all historical, so it's not really a
Mhm.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But before, he famously said, "Push the fucking button." You
Mhm.
know, he's like, "Take me out." And
Mhm.
he was saying it, and I kept saying to him, I'm like, "Go a little bit higher.
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know," and he wasn't quite, because actors are, you know, you don't want them, they get too afraid. They don't want to go too over the top or make it
Too over the top and
comical.
too,
But in
yeah.
this particular instance, I wanted him to say, "Pushing the fucking button," you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
he did it. I said, "Go, just take me to the stratosphere, man."
Mhm.
And he did that one line, and I'm like, "Bro, that is it."
That's what you wanted.
Because
That's what
that
you wanted.
line plays, there's a couple of times when we hear it through the story, and he nailed it. He
Mhm.
And you know, when I hear something, they can tell for me because I get so delighted. I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
that was awesome." You know, I
Bro,
don't
but why
contain
wouldn't
my
you?
yeah, I
Like,
don't
why
contain
wouldn't
my
you in that
enthusiasm.
aspect of it? Because it's you don't like when you often go into these projects, I can only imagine going into these projects is in your mind, you're playing scene by scene. You know what you want the actor to do.
Right.
You know, you give them the blueprint. So here's the blueprint. This is what's going on. This is the scenario. Now play around with it. Keep it true to what's in the actual scene, but play around with it. Let me hear, because again, it's like from an actor standpoint, you know, you're telling them this, but from an acting standpoint, they're probably like, well, what will this director allow me to do?
Yeah. Well,
Will they allow me to play within this space? Will they allow me to basically put some of my influences in it? Or is it just one of those things where, okay, take what is given and just, you know what I mean? Like it could be like an intimidating type of situation, but when you get around somebody who's like, look, play with this. This is what I want you to do.
yeah, well, here's the thing, like, I would say that Michael Bauden called this a very artisanal uh creation. It was
Mhm.
very handcrafted. And when I say handcrafted, everybody involved, Mike McDonald and his Foley team, the sound design team, everybody was really doing their own thing.
Mhm.
And what you want whenever you make something that is a collective piece of art, which
Mhm.
this is, just like a movie is, you hire great people to bring what they bring, and you
Mhm.
don't want to hamstring them or hamper
Yeah.
them from bringing. So for me, you know, they say that 95% of directing is properly casting something.
Mhm.
And I do believe that. So what I would do is I know what I want, but
Mhm.
I also leave room for what I know the actor can bring to something that I
Yeah.
might not have anticipated.
Mhm.
Because there's nothing better than being delighted. So my form of directing is to nudge things in certain directions. You know, you never give
Mhm.
a line reading to an actor because, you know, why have the actor there if you have to give him a line reading?
Yeah.
But so it was fun, and then I could also ask Max, who was there, like, Max, contextually, is there anything that we
didn't
could,
cover or what
yeah,
you would actually want to
and
see.
he also added, like, historical context, like, at this moment, this character might be thinking about this other thing that
Mhm.
I didn't know about. And then Michael Rosenbaum, we got to get to him. He would
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
I
yeah.
got it, I got it, I got it. Rosenbaum would never stop. He would keep doing the line until he felt it was perfect,
Mhm.
and he was right every time. Now, I could
Wow.
ask him for things, and he'd be like, I got it, I got it. And then he would make that adjustment, and we had the greatest time together. Hey, could you give me a minute and let pontificate?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me just dip out for just a second.
People out there, like, listen, if you're watching this episode, this is basically the first official episode of Storybox audio visual. This is basically the Storybox itself, audio visual conversation. I'm here with Robert Meyer Burnett. We are talking about True Noir. Now, the link for the audio drama is actually here in the description. So if you want to download it, if you want to purchase it, I'm telling you, the experience is so submersive. And again, this is just the first play. You know what I mean? So it is incredible. I would suggest, like, you can listen to it, on your way to work. You can listen to it, when you're just chilling at the crib. But I would actually just listen to the entire thing, because I'm not just saying that because it's Rob, but it is truly a masterpiece. For those who basically like a lot of audio dramas, if you grew up on audio dramas, like right now, I basically watch like I listen to, sometimes when I'm actually working out, I'll listen to like Nostalgic Mystery Radio. That's one of them I listen to. The Hiding Place, if you haven't heard of that, you can check that out as well. Blackout, that's also something that's dope as an audio book you can listen to. But True Noir is that thing. That is definitely something that you want to kind of listen to. Let me see who we got in the chat here with us, man. We got Charlie. He was like, shocking, R&B having erotic projects. Not shocking at all. Dr. Eddie, he's like, this all sounds amazing. I can't wait to listen to this myself. Tell me you can hear the high def cheeks clapping. We got Charlie's like, pause. Tom Jr. Jackson, he said, I can see this being a really good video game. We had a couple people. So, Tom, you said that you can see this, being a dope video game. I also had Chewy. Rob said that he can actually see this being a really, really good animated,
Yeah.
like an animation type of movie. I can see it being an animated movie as well. I can definitely, I would would love to see it much more as an animated than I would like more like who was it? I don't want to go in the space of, like your what was it called? Zack Snyder's
Like Guardians of Gahul, the
yeah. Not within that particular space, but more like an animated type of
like Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix.
Blue Eyes, bro. Like
that was a French animation company. The funny thing about this is you have the star power. You could just take the episodes and animate them like as they are.
Because the audio's there and you can take it and just kind of translate it.
I mean, our idea was always like the plans that we would have for this is I want to do at least 2 more audio dramas and fill out what Max Allan Collins calls the Nitty trilogy. So we would do the second book, True Crime, and then the book after that, $1 Million Wound. And then the idea would be I'd love to do a movie. I mean, I'm not saying there is or isn't, but maybe there's a movie script
that's out there that could be done.
Maybe
that could be.
And then that would be a backdoor pilot that would lead to like a 3-season series set in the 60s. But I always saw it as, the way that Mad Men was very evocative of that period.
Yeah.
But I just really like the whole. So I have to tell you, we haven't talked about Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of get into. So how was it? I guess the biggest question is, like, we've been talking the entire time, and you said you still hadn't had a lead actor at that particular point.
And we were running out of actors to record. We'd recorded all the actors, and we had all these great actors. So all through the summer, I was recording basically 25 different actors, scheduling, and Corey Landis was reading with the actors. And then finally, it just got to the point where Christine and I were frustrated that all these people that we were offering it to couldn't do it for whatever reason. So we both decided, well, let's do it the old school route, because now we'd gone to all the talent agencies and they would provide all of this top tier talent. They knew who we were. When we started this, they didn't know who we were. So like now the actors had reported back and said they had a good time working with us. No muss, no fuss. People had been paid. So Christine felt like, well, let's just go to the various agencies and have people read for us. And now that we had such a great eclectic cast, we didn't necessarily have to anchor it with a name, like some A-list name actor. So I said to Christine, I said, look, I don't want to know who I'm listening to. Just pick these voices and send them to me and I'll listen to them. So I'm listening to these voices. And I just went, I got to this one. I went, and I'm like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's Nathan Heller. And I told Christine, I'm like, who is that? That's the person. That's our character. She said, well, that's Michael Rosenbaum. Now I was like, really? And what was really interesting about this was, obviously I loved him in Smallville and he's done a lot of other things, but I love his Inside of You podcast. And
that's an incredible podcast too,
it's an
bro.
incredible, and he has kind of this singular empathy. Like he really listens. He asks great questions. He's an incredibly insightful guy. And it's interesting because my connection to him is not so much with Smallville, but it was with that podcast. But I was surprised at the quality that he brought to this character of Nathan Heller, just the quality of his voice. And I was like, I didn't know him. And so my what I wanted to do was, he's literally on every single page of a 300-page, collectively the 10 chapters are 300 pages. So he has a lot to do. And if he wasn't good, we're fucked. We're fucked. And he could have been a temperamental douche. Like, you don't know. I have no idea. And what I wanted to do, taking a cue from what Frank Darabont did with Shawshank Redemption, my idea for the narration is I wanted to be Morgan Freeman from Shawshank and Martin Sheen from Apocalypse Now. And I wanted to have that kind of quality. And my idea was, we were going to record all of the narration at once over days, and then we would go back and do him as his character, because we're intercutting between his actual voice of what's happening and then also his thoughts as the narration's going. And because it's a private eye and there's so much narration, I needed to be able to delineate between him talking in the moment and his thoughts, his narration. So, and I had to sit down with him. So for 4 days, he just came in and all we did was record the narration. And again, it was me, Michael, Max listening. And it was first of all, that guy's level of professionalism. And he was very impressive out of the gate. He was so nice and so cool. And, he didn't know me, and it wasn't like I was Coppola himself. I mean, he could have been like, what do you know about directing? He was not like that. He listened to everything I said. We developed this kind of shorthand almost, and he was killing it almost out of the gate. And it was true, because when I heard his voice, I'm like, that's the guy. He was the guy. And
bro, I'm listening to you, I'm watching this as well. Like, you see this right here, bro.
Oh,
like, incredible, bro. I was just like, yo, you are working with these titans, bro. Like, amazing work, bro. Like, definitely incredible.
He was, and it's really funny because, a lot of actors like, oh, I'm just doing voiceover. He'd already done a lot of voiceover in animation and video games. And he came in, and I have to tell you, every day, like, Max and I kind of would talk after we were done recording. And for Max, I don't think he came around as quickly as I did, but it was very obvious because, he's dubious. This is his signature character. And it was very clear to us, I think, after day one, that this is the guy.
That this was going to be that person.
And he takes you on a journey. I mean, he elicits so many. He's just a great fucking actor. Like, he gets it. The wheels are turning behind that guy's eyes.
Mhm.
And you can see it in his podcast when he asks questions. I mean, he's really listening to his guests.
Mhm.
But more than that, he really listens to what's on the page.
Mhm.
He really
And
understands
you
it.
can tell. You can tell.
I mean, and he would ask questions, and he would do it. He'd be like, "That was good. Let me do one more." Not in an annoying way, but there were little inflections.
Perfectionist. He's a perfectionist, bro.
Yeah, but this way, and he would stop and go, "That one was good." And whenever he said that, I'm like, "He's right. It was good." And
Yeah.
when I went back through and edited, I would say 85% of what he would settle on and go, "That's great." The thing is, when I was editing his performances in with the other actors,
Mhm.
some things would work better than others. And that's when
Yeah.
it became, because that's when the real work began.
You can
Directing all the actors was fun.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so much fun because you're with people in a room.
Mhm.
I wasn't sitting here just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. But you can tell that he's not only having that level of fun with it, but he actually loves what he was doing.
Oh,
Like,
he
he loved it.
loved it. And, he was so excited. And again, we got him in and out on time every day. We took care of him. You always take
Mhm.
care of your talent.
Mhm.
And he
Mhm.
knew we weren't crazy people. And I really
Mhm.
think one of the things he particularly loved is that Max was there.
Yeah.
And Max was
Yeah.
really gracious. He's like, "Oh, Rob, I don't want to get in your way as the director of this." And I don't, as Spock said in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, I don't have an ego to bruise. I have a
Mhm.
healthy self-image. But when we're working on a project, to have the writer, to have what
Mhm.
Max, I'll take all the credit in the world on the back end. To
Yeah,
have him
yeah, yeah.
there,
To have him
it
there, yeah,
it,
bro.
it, it was essential. And
Yeah.
when you're making something, look, I don't have any insecurity about
Mhm.
what I'm doing. And I think that
Mhm.
anybody who worked with me on this project would understand. I'm not some I don't need to throw my weight around as the director. What I'm interested in doing is making sure that my collaborators are
Are
being
taken care of.
facilitated in such a way
Yeah.
that they get to do their best work. And
Mhm.
then I'll take credit for it.
Yeah.
But why this should be fun. This should be exciting. This
Yeah.
should be when and I'm one of those people, when I hear something that's great, I'm like, "Oh, bro, that was awesome." I
Yeah.
get excited about it because I'm the
Yeah.
audience.
You're the audience.
I
But
don't know if
but you know what? But a piece of that, because you're the audience and you're getting excited, but then you're also the person who sees this vision.
yes, that it helps because yes, I do. I have
You
a very
see it,
distinct
and when an actor can exceed your expectations for what you want, like, bro, that there's no feeling like it's like a song. If a
right.
performer comes in and they perform that song, what you've written or your idea, your vision for each individual verse, even for the chorus, bringing those harmonies and those pieces together.
Yep.
If they exceed even your expectation, it's just like, yo, we got something here.
Well, that
We
and I think that's the joy of
Mhm.
this kind of work.
Yeah.
And I've never been on a Quentin Tarantino set,
Mm.
but people always talk about how he's got, no one has cell phones, but when he's always talking about, we love making movies, let's do another one. That's
Mhm.
I think that when people know that they're secure enough to know that they can play, or that you have their back, they bring their best work because they want to please you.
Mhm.
And if they're
Mhm.
not getting anything from you, then they feel they're not getting anything. They're not getting what they need to give you what you need. And
Yeah.
they all want the work to be great too,
Yeah.
you
They
know?
they wanna service the work, and they're in a sense, they're not there for you to be a yes man.
Right. 100%.
They're not. They're not there for you to be a yes man. They're there for direction. They're there for you to for you to tell them whether or not that performance at that time was flawed, or if there was things that need to be worked. Because again, it's a job, and that's only going to make them better for the next, whatever. Because if you're just telling somebody based on it, you don't want a person to get complacent in that particular space
No,
at
no.
all.
And it was, it's funny because Max's scripts, Now you watch a season of TV and you say, "Oh,
Mhm.
that episode was only okay."
Yeah.
I had 10 great chapters. I had 10
Mm.
great scripts,
Mhm.
and they all had different joys about them. You know, there were different things like the episode 8 is this
Mhm.
big, it has the prize fight, it has an action scene. There's a foot
Mhm.
chase.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, how do you make a foot chase work that you can't watch?
You can't see it,
Like, where they're
but you
running, you
can
gotta make them.
hear it, and you can hear the panting, you can hear everything, bro,
Yeah, and
like
it
you're
was
supposed to, like but that's what great audio work, that's what great acting, and that's what knowing within that scene what you're servicing.
wild because it's like, well,
Yeah.
how far are they running?
Yeah.
Like, you have to sit there and go
You
like,
gotta
if they run for 90 seconds, that's too long. But
yeah.
55 seconds is okay. Like,
Yeah.
it was a weird, and you have to think about what are the, like, when we were doing the, there's actual video
Yeah.
of the assassination when Zangara shoots Cermak in Miami.
Mhm.
There was all kinds of video. I mean, there was film. It was filmed
Mhm.
on video, but you can look at that online.
Mhm.
So I'm watching this going, okay. And in my own mind, I'm like, so and so's over here, and here's
Yeah.
where cars are coming from. Like, I had to sit there in my own mind and figure out what didn't exist, and like, where are they?
What
Like,
was
what
the
direction are
atmosphere?
they? There's one scene at a horse race,
Yeah.
horse race track where Nathan Heller is outside, and
Mhm.
then I'm like, well, where's the bathroom? Like, if he's gonna walk in and he confronts these cops in the bathroom, how far does he have to go?
Yeah.
He's looking, he's up there looking at where the mayor is with his. So I had to look up the actual racetrack and figure out
Mhm.
where is he? Like, in my own mind, because when I'm editing, I'm like, how
Mhm.
long would it take him? How do we do time cuts and use the
In
music?
between. Yeah.
It was it was
Even from
crazy.
the time that you're opening a car door, getting
Like,
out, first steps
100%. And there's a
between,
lot of that in this.
and there's
Car
a
doors
whole
open.
bunch, bro, because you have to opening up a car door doesn't mean that you take your first steps almost simultaneously. It's opening up
Right.
the car door, stepping around the door and shutting it to create the atmosphere, bro. Like that, those things, as easy as some people may think it is, those are the hardest because there's seconds in between those particular times where you have to pause. Like it's not like you know what I mean? It's
And
weird.
then
It's
if it
yeah,
takes too long, it gets boring.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you have to keep, one of the things that I noticed when I was editing this, I had a tendency to edit and make it too fast. There were times when things needed to be opened up a bit more.
To breathe a bit more. Yeah.
And that was definitely something that, like, I would sit here and, because you edit like 10 minutes. I'm
Mhm.
doing a conversation. I'm sitting here like, then I'll play the conversation back and it needs to ebb and flow a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can't just have somebody go, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine." So you have to overlap. Like, it's like, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm fine." And people
Yeah.
know what you're saying. So in conversation, it's never somebody stops talking and another person starts. So
Mhm.
there's always overlap. But if there's too much overlap,
Yeah.
you have to. And there were times when certain conversations I spent days on, days, and it was a lot of work.
It the bro, like you can, but even with the work pays off in such a huge way.
Yeah,
Like it really pays off in such a huge, and I think having the talent is there, and playing around with the talent, having a way that you can play around with these spaces that you're in and have everyone interact. That's a given because you know what to expect
yeah,
at that point. But making them see this, making them believe it, because it's the only things that we talk about. They have to believe in that particular space that these
totally.
things are actually taking place, because that's only going to make the performance stronger. You can tell them, you can see it, you're watching, you're visualizing all of this, you explain it to them, but they have to bring it to life. And it's harder, you as a director, when you're not looking at faces.
Right, right,
You know what I
dude.
mean, bro?
And it's, a lot of the time, like, they would go into a room, like Corey would be sitting in a room with Michael Rosenbaum,
Yeah.
and they're recording, and I'm outside, and we're just listening
Yeah.
to the voices. And I had a lot of the time you're closing your eyes and you're,
Mhm.
you had to feel it. But the thing is, it was a lot of fun. It went so much faster than a movie because you're not setting
Yeah.
up cameras.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just an adrenaline burst. It was a dopamine explosion every time they opened their mouths because I could hang on their every word. And I'll tell you something. One of the things that I insisted on doing was once Michael Rosenbaum was cast, I
Mhm.
had already recorded Chris Carr.
Yeah.
We already paid her money.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring her back, which means we have to pay her again.
Yeah.
But it was the time when their relationship, Nathan Heller and Marianne Beam, their relationship was so crucial.
Yeah.
So I said to Chris, we're bringing you back. And I sat down Nathan and Chris, and they were the only two people that that's not true because Corey got to do Walter Winchell as well. But
Yeah.
doing Chris Carr and doing Chris and Michael Rosenbaum together, they had such great chemistry, and they were having so much fun when they had their little meet cute and they fall in love and what happened.
Yeah.
If I had like, if we do another one of these, God willing, we already have our Nathan Heller, and it'll even be that much better because he'll be able to interact with all the actors.
Yeah.
Even if he's doing it one at a time, because that stuff with Chris Carr and Michael is golden.
And I'm telling everybody out there, if you're listening, and if you've watched and you know who Chris Carr is, if you're watching the John Campea show and you hear her there, I need you to basically just divorce yourself from that.
Oh yeah.
Please divorce yourself from what you hear her, because I mean, we already know she's an amazing person, very spirited, funny, charming, all that. When you hear her here, you're like, okay, this is Chris Carr.
It's really Carr. She I have to say,
yeah,
when you hire, like, I tend to forget. I'm like, hey, come do this thing. Like Chris, if you look at all these actors,
yeah,
most of them are like known. Chris does not have the same pedigree that a lot of these other actors do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, you'll do it. Like, I wasn't aware that could be a little intimidating for Chris.
Yeah. So
she did the work. And again, like the old Benicio del Toro story, it's like, I'll bring you a character. If you don't like the character, we do another character. When she came in and started to do Marianne, I'm like, oh, she did the work.
She's amazing,
like
bro.
She created a character, and it was such a joy because she didn't take it. She took it very seriously and delivered. Again, when I heard her I'll tell you something. I was a little worried about her because I didn't work with her, so I didn't have Max come. So Max didn't come that day, and I just wanted to give her time if she was nervous at all. She nailed it. She came out of the gate because she'd done the work.
Yeah.
She'd created a character. She worked on it, and Max, this is another thing. Max hadn't heard her. So when I sent episode 4, so my whole thing for my whole thing was to send Max each finished episode because it's his story.
It's his story,
and I would wait and he would send me an email like the next day, and I'm sitting there, crossing my fingers, and I would get, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
Then I started to get, I'm very pleased. When he heard Marianne Beam, she's what I envisioned in my head.
Yeah.
And as we moved along, and when I got the last 2 episodes, I forget, he said something very funny. It blew the doors off. Whatever I had done for him, blown the doors off. But for me, I mean, I'm the first audience. I'm making it for myself.
Yeah.
But really, the audience that I cared about the most was Max.
Yeah.
Because he wrote this book, back in '83, and it was his baby, and he's written 19 novels about this character, and he entrusted his character to me.
Yeah.
And this was something that, to have that gift and that kind of trust from another creator is something that very few people get to have in their lives. So I better not fuck it up.
Bro, could you imagine like one time him calling you pick up the phone and all he says is damn, and then hang up?
That would have been the greatest thing ever. That would have been the best thing ever.
Just saying, damn, and just hang up the phone. You'd be like, yo, I'm on to something. I'm definitely on to something right here, bro. Like, definitely I am on to
That's
something.
hilarious.
But the thing is, bro, and I also thought about this, Rob. We're not talking about just acting within the space, also knowing that this is a period piece.
Oh, dude, yes. Very good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Like, it's a period piece. So you have to, and when you say Chris Carr does the work, I'm pretty sure she went back, studied the time period, studied the inflection of voices and how
100%.
people would enunciate and say different things. These actors have to do that. You're doing the work because you can't bring modern dialogue into a period piece
No.
of that. You can't. You have to really, really dissect and know it. Know the atmosphere, know the music, know like the sayings, like the events that took place, all the way down to the tailoring, how you move in these particular suits. You know what I mean? Just the background, editing choices, all of
the car noises.
The car noises, bro. You have to know everything. You talked about the juke joint. You have to know it. You talk about the prize fight. You have to know that we're not talking about you going to like a Tyson fight and seeing all these. No, we're talking about back then where, you know, even during this particular period, it was almost more brutal because the fights lasted longer rounds and stuff like that.
And then we had to that was really tough because you're going through 10 rounds. We had to compress it and make it dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was really interesting about the particular thing about the prize fight is it was written this way, but I had Michael, his narration turned into like he's Howard Cosell calling the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much fun when he was doing that. He's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Yeah, man, it's going to be great."
Yeah.
You know, and when he was doing it, he did such a really good job. And Max wrote something, the phrase "ducka," like D-U-C-K-A, ducka with ease. He ducka with ease, you know, talking about punch throwing. And that was a period writing, you know, and that was just things when Michael would say something with that kind of period inflection. Like, I've never heard somebody say ducka, like you duck a punch. People say you duck the punch, but he ducka with ease. And it was, I'd never heard that before. And it was just a turn of phrase. And I'm like, I love that. I love that. And sometimes when we had Max there and Michael would say, "How would you say this?" You know, and that's when Max would chime in and explain all of that. We wanted to get the period accurate thing. Now, somebody brought something up to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, though. So in the script, this is something that I'm like, this was told to me yesterday.
Yeah.
That apparently they did not call a clip a clip. Mm-hmm. They called it a magazine until later. So Max might have the wrong, but if he'll tell me, no, they called it a clip. But magazine clip, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we made a mistake. Who knows?
Like just the magazine instead of it being the actual clip that you put. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they didn't use the word clip until later, apparently, somebody said. And I'm like, really? That's the one criticism you have of my 5-hour audio drama?
Yeah. Magazine that they would actually use for Tommy guns and stuff like that. So
it wasn't called a clip, it was just called a magazine. I don't know.
Magazine.
I gotta ask Max about that. But
it's again, like I said, bro, like it's so. Here's the thing, Rob. I would advise anybody who, once you pick it up, this is the one thing you don't want to do. Don't listen to it at the gym. I tell you, because if you're listening to it at the gym, you're working out and normally what I would do is when I'm listening to the parts, I'm walking, I'm on a treadmill, you know, I'm actually either doing like an incline or I'm running. The reason why I do it there is because I know no one can talk to me. No one can basically tap me on my shoulder and have a conversation. But if I'm in a sauna and I'm listening to it, people always want to talk. And I'm like, all right, let me leave. And then when it gets to the most important part, they want to talk. So you have to basically, these things, you listen to people who are just as interested. Listen to it in your car. Listen to it when you're on a treadmill. But don't listen to it when you lifting weights or when you're in an open space. because these motherfuckers want to talk, and I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to you when I'm trying to listen to
You know, it's so funny you say that because Paul Chatto did a review of it on his channel, and he
Yeah.
said there's one problem with True Noir. And he said the problem is you can't listen to it when you're doing anything else.
No, you can't.
He said
You
it's,
can't. You
and I have to say, last Friday, so you'll be able to get the whole thing strung out as one drama
Yeah.
so it doesn't have credits at the beginning and the end.
Yeah,
It won't just be chapters. It'll still be broken into chapters, but it's one
but
long
you'll
piece.
be able to just blend it into the one longs.
Yeah, and I'd never heard it before that way. So my audio engineer sent it to me to do notes on the transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stuck in traffic for like 4 hours coming back from LA. So I listened to most of it all together for the very first time. And I'm like, this is dense, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I made it. And I'm listening to it
Yeah.
going, wow, this is a lot. Like
Yeah,
you're
it's a lot of
asking
shit,
a
bro.
lot of the audience.
Yeah.
And
you don't want to just you're asking for undivided attention. Like, for instance, I was listening to the interview with Tony Gilroy the other day.
yeah, great.
And how he was talking about Andor season 2.
By the
He
way, how
said
excited are we
he's excited, bro.
Oh my
Super
God.
excited. It's just right around the corner. I cannot wait. But what he mentioned was, I'm demanding, just like you said, I'm demanding a lot from the audience. Like, I really want you to listen. I want your time. I need your time. Like, I
fighting
need you
for
to
a sunset I'll never see.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm demanding within this particular space. So them saying that the only thing about it is that you can't listen to it doing something else is a good thing, because that means that it's the undivided attention on it. And that's why I was like, I made the mistake of thinking I can go to gym. Like, I don't want to just be like, yo, leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to be that way, bro. I want to acknowledge your existence, but I'm really so focused and into it because the thing is, you really need to listen.
Yeah.
You really need to listen, because whatever you miss here, something here is the motivation for the next scene and going into the.
Well, dude, I'm so happy you said that, because one of the things that surprised me when I was reading Max's scripts, when I first got his scripts in, I hadn't read the book yet.
Yeah.
And I did that on purpose because I wanted to know, like, I've read his other books that we do, so it won't work. But when I was reading the scripts, I wanted to know, because I wanted to see how the plot unfolded over the course of the. What really struck me is there's stuff that he sets up in episode 1 that doesn't even pay off until episode 9, but it's like it's a drum. Every single thing, there's so much he pays off, and it's like
everything.
And I realized, the great writing is great writing. Great writing is self-evident.
Yeah.
And Max, it's like I even told Max this. If I spend the rest of my life just making work of Max Allan Collins, if I could just make some movies, make Nathan Heller movies, I would love to do his comic series Miss Tree, about a female detective that's in the modern age. I would be a happy man, because it would be like my own franchise. And I'll tell you something else. There's an official Star Trek audio drama coming out.
For real.
The Khan miniseries that was written. So here's the funny thing. Everyone always yells at me and says, "Oh, you just want to work on real Star Trek or something." And I've never done anything to warrant working. Well, now that Star Trek has an audio drama and I've worked on an audio drama, I'm like, for the very first time, I can actually put something I've made up against something that they've officially made.
Yeah.
And maybe I want the Star Trek Khan miniseries to be great. Nicholas Meyer came up with the story. David Mack, one of my favorite Star Trek novelists, wrote it along with Kirsten Beyer, another great Star Trek novelist.
Yeah.
I hope it's fantastic. But I get to compare and contrast my own audio drama.
Your own audio drama with it, just to kind of pick it apart to see, because
then I can finally say, let me do Star Trek now. But then when they asked me, I would say, you couldn't afford me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do more Nathan Heller.
Bro. So. Here's the thing. What she say? Hey, you. It's been a while. How are you? Oh, Tom. She's talking to Tom Jr. Jackson. Yeah, Tom. Exactly, bro. It is. It's a fantastic listen for a rainy afternoon. You're damn. And I think that's the
And it
best
rains a
way,
lot in the show, so you
bro.
can
It
hear it in
rains,
5.1.
but it rains a lot in the show. But this is why. And I'm gonna tell Toya,
By
we're
the way,
gonna
shout
bring.
out to Toya because I don't know what's happening with her, but she just keeps getting more and more beautiful.
Oh my god,
Like
bro.
you publish pictures of her,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh my God,
yeah.
what a goddess.
It's her
But
punishment.
can you
I
do
tell
me
her
a favor?
yeah,
Can you get her to cosplay some Dora Milaje? Come on.
bro. Listen,
American
so
Chi I want to see hers. I want to see hers Okoye, man. But with
bro,
hair. But with hair. I want to
we're
with the hair.
working on like it's because I told her, like I said, this year's New York Comic Con. Here's the thing, because we were gonna go, and I mean, it's unfortunate. I feel it's a bummer, but it within good spirit. I was gonna go to the Star Wars celebration in Japan. Couldn't go, of course, because my daughter's coming up from Australia. She'll be here this Friday. So I was like, that's more important to me. But if we would have went, I
By
was
the
gonna
way, I've
try.
seen pictures. You put pictures of her up. Nicely done, son. Well
Yeah,
done.
bro. Yeah, bro. Like
I would buy a shotgun and I wouldn't let her out of the house.
I'm
Just
not,
saying.
bro. Neither one of my kids are allowed to, but but Toya, yeah, she, there's a couple of things that she wants to cosplay and put it together. So I was like, all right, we go to New York Comic Con, we got to make that happen. We definitely got to make it happen. But yeah, she's been told. She's been voluntold so many damn times.
I'll tell you what a cocoa tulip looks like, and it's right over there.
But what I want to do, bro, like, and this is what I'm saying, like, this is the perfect thing to listen to, honestly, during the holiday season. It is.
I love that you say that because we did release the first 3 episodes right before Christmas because
Mhm.
it does take place over Christmas. You know, they're
It's
the
the
Salvation
perfect
Army.
time.
Nathan Eller drops some. I agree with you. I
It's
mean,
the perfect time. But it's because here's the crazy part about it. When I listen to it, if I listen to it during the holiday season, then following that, I want to sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life. It's
wow,
crazy to say that.
I
It's
love
it's
that.
insane to say that, but it's because It's a Wonderful Life, when you're listening to it, I know it's a juxtaposition, but it's the sound editing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the sound, and it's how the dialogue carries. And I grew up on period pieces. I've grown up on it, and I
sure.
love it. So again, bro, like it's an amazing. I put the link, and I told everybody before, if you want to pick this up, the link to it is in the description. So
Yeah,
definitely pick it up.
truenoir.co. And
Yes.
hopefully, we'll see that there's some talk about there's somebody might pick it up and it's going to wind up on one of the bigger services so everybody can hear it. Right now, you just buy it from us.
Yeah.
And I've just started working on. There's going to be a soundtrack CD,
Hmm.
and I'm working on it because I love physical media. And there's going to be a
Yeah.
Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is going to have there's a company called Super Deluxe Edition
Yeah.
that's been releasing all these albums with Dolby Atmos and
Yeah.
5.1. We couldn't afford to do Dolby Atmos on this one, but we did mix it in both 2-channel stereo and 5.1. So there is going to be a Blu-ray that has all of the different mixes. So all 10 episodes in 2-channel and 5.1, and then the strung out version of the compilation in 2-channel and 5.1. One of the things I want to give a shout out to too is our other producer, Phil Dingledine, and Max did these incredible videos for each episode called The History Behind the Mystery, where
Hmm.
Max hosts them
Hmm.
and he takes you through all of the actual history of what really happened
During those
in
events.
in
Yeah.
real life. And those will also be on the Blu-ray, but you can see them on YouTube. And what's fascinating is um there were things I learned even watching these videos. When they go to a club called the Dill Pickle Club, which is
Hmm.
kind of like a bohemian club in Tower Town, which is a
Hmm.
Greenwich Village in Chicago.
Hmm.
There's an actual picture of the door and the spray painting and what people said on the door. I'm like, oh, if I had known that, I would have had Max add that to the narration where Nathan Heller reads what's on the door. And even
Hmm.
I, after working on this, learn more. it opened my mind to, now I'm obsessed with Chicago history. And if we do the second book, which is called True Crime, we'll probably have to do a different.
No, when you do the
Yeah, when we
second
do,
book.
the second book is really interesting because, and we kind of touch on it at the end of where it's going to go, because you have all these Midwestern gangsters like Ma Barker, John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, and Nathan Heller kind of goes on the road and undercover. So it's a whole different kind of a story. And that's one of the great things about the Nathan Heller, call it an IP, the franchise of Nathan Heller, is that there's so many different kinds of stories. There's a story where he goes to Nassau called Carnal Knights, which you have an interracial relationship that Nathan Heller has, and it's back in the day. And I want to go to the Caribbean so bad, like go in there and just what Alexander Bornsey would do for the soundtrack and everything. It'd be amazing,
bro. But that's what you have to do, bro.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it all comes down to this was not cheap to make.
Yeah,
it was not cheap to make. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, normally you don't want to talk about the budget or whatever, but we were looking at like $500,000. And the reason, I mean, but if you think about it, SAG actors, we have 25 SAG actors.
And they got to get paid, bro.
And they got to get paid. And also the audio engineering, the score. Now, what we learned doing all this, we could probably bring the costs down. But I think that was, you're never supposed to talk about your costs. So pretend I didn't say that. But, it's not like I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And hopefully we paid, because here's the thing. We paid the actors not exorbitant sums either. But what you want to do is you want to pay people for their work. And you want people to think of us as like, if they're going to work for us, Imagination Connoisseurs Unlimited, they're going to get a fair rate, and they're going to get a project at the end that they're going to be proud of.
Yeah.
And you want people to know that. And by the way, Max has published this on his blog, and it's not, we basically did everything it costs. And I have to give a huge shout out. This is kind of a sad story. So the place that we recorded this, Private Island Audio, Robin Whitney and Mike McDonald, who's done gold records. I mean, he's been in the business forever. They had this great facility. It was their house. It was the old Victorian house on Cochrane between Venice and Washington Boulevard. Fantastic place. I've been working out of there for years. Because production is so depressed here in LA, they specialize in doing a lot of low budget work, but they did movies. They did tons of movies, and they were just it was a great place to go, because the whole bottom floor, you had two big studios, and you could record music in there. They had a full surround stage that I mixed the show in. They decided to finally, throw in the towel. And this week, Mike is going to send me tomorrow the final compilation of the full 5-hour show is one show, and they're moving out of their facility, and they're going to demolish it and build an apartment complex.
For real?
Yeah. So in a way, where I made this project is now moving into history. And there were so many soundtrack albums recorded there. Lucas Kendall and I worked the 5 episodes of Femme Fatales I directed for Cinemax. They are gone, their facility. Now I will still work with Mike. He's moving 3 hours north, and he'll still do the work, but the facility that we recorded all these actors, they came in and we recorded the voiceover, is gone. So in a way, the place that we made this has gone into history the same way that the story.
And you can say that you were there. You're like, it's you never want to see something like that go, but
I mean, I think here's the thing. We're privileged. I mean, you and I, you work in audio, like you said. We live in a time where we are privileged that our interests and our imagination and our loves, we can turn into a career. And I don't think there was a lot of time in human history where people could do that.
Yeah.
And we've been very fortunate. I mean, this project wouldn't even exist without YouTube. And like, I met you through
Yeah,
YouTube.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
all of these connections, international connections that we've made are I think the potential for linking up with people and this whole thing was a product of people meeting through social media.
Yep.
And it's an example of
The
how
one good thing that COVID brought
yeah, oh
together
my
was
god. I mean,
yeah.
I was talking about that last night. I mean, COVID has brought a lot. There was nothing we could do so to keep connected to people we were on YouTube.
Yeah.
And as our country spins off into weird oblivion, I do think I have faith in the sense that these connections that all of us have made, I think we're more connected in ways that we've never been connected before. I mean, you're in a whole different part of the country. You and I have never met face to face.
And just through this, we were in the same around the same proximity, but things, took place, which we will.
Yeah,
we
no, we will. I
will.
mean, I dream to get rich. Like I have this fantasy of like I want to call Amalfi Jets and have Colin book a flight where I just fly around and pick everybody up,
Right.
on a jet, and then we go
Incredible.
somewhere like we go to the New York Comic Con and we all do a panel.
Yeah.
We
Why not?
fly and we do a panel where we all talk about meeting and stuff, and it would be a lot of look. I wish I was at Star Wars Celebration because I really want. I don't care what anyone says. I want the Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper,
Bruh, that everybody, and the thing is, I came around to think, I was like, yo, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely need this because it's incredible. We would never get it again.
No, and that's. I mean, I do love when people combine weird things. Like, I have a die-cast Hello Kitty Gundam,
Mm-hmm.
and I love my die-cast Hello Kitty Gundam. It's just a weird, but I have to say, there's something about that Cherry Blossom because
Bro,
it transcends the fact that it's not canon or anything, but there's something about it that signifies Japan and Star Wars
yeah,
Celebration. And
it was
all,
the
dude, I want
best
Krennic.
thing.
I want every one of those.
Bruh, listen, and people think I definitely want, I think the biggest number one on my radar is the concept mall, the art
Oh,
concept mall from
you came
Phantom
out
Menace.
strong. People like, I don't like that. You were the one guy going, no, man, I want that.
I want that, bro. Like, I actually want it because it's I love concepts. I love anything that represents a concept. And if it's a concept art, I think it should be celebrated because
Yeah.
this was something that, that artist really put into play. It's just something that they wanted to show. Like, and he thought this was an idea, and it's an idea that deserves to be seen. I think they should continue on with that. So why not? You know what I mean? I definitely want it. So
I just hope that tariffs have not screwed up our hobby
well,
beyond.
here's the thing, because I just got a message that says that Hong Kong, because of the Paris, the what was it? Here it is. It says that Hong Kong, it came up on my news feed just now while we were talking. It said that let me see here. Hong Kong suspends postal service to the US after Trump's tariff hikes. So just imagine if they're basically suspending the postal, then UPS or
Wow.
these other companies are quick to follow, bro. Like, they are really right now suspending any type of postal to the United States. That's crazy.
I mean, look, I'm all for bringing back the manufacturing base to the United States, but that ship has sailed. I mean, and if they did, it would be all automated anyway. And it's like, look, everything I like, Blu-rays and 4Ks.
Yeah.
There is no replication facility in the United States anymore. We got rid of it. There's one in Mexico. So no one's gonna build a that industry is going away
bro.
anyway.
It's impossible, bro. It's not something that could be done. This is why I don't understand. Like, when
What's
something like
gonna do?
they put out a statement last week, stating that it's not going to hurt as much as we think, but with this happening, yeah.
I mean, I know this stuff comes on a boat, but like
a lot of it comes on a boat.
I want my Artists in Dark Empire Luke.
bro. I want my Artist in Dark Empire loot.
And I got my Artist in Black Widow coming.
Bro, I'm still waiting on my do back. I'm still waiting on my do back with my trooper, bro. That's been paid off a long time ago, and I'm still waiting on it. Just,
I don't think Donald Trump knows what he's done. Stirring up the 1-6 community.
1-6 community, bro. You are tearing us apart, like straight up. Like, come on, man. We ain't doing
tearing me apart, Lisa.
You know what I mean? Come on, man. Rob, listen, bro. It's this. We can talk about this for hours, but man, I would employ everybody out there. Listen, again, the link for this is in the description. Pick it up, listen to it. This is something easily that you can listen to. Rob, you know what I want you to do, bro?
Make a vinyl box set.
Bro, we're going somewhere with it.
That's what I want.
A box set, but just like we were talking earlier on, like an illustrated book, but at the end of it, there's the 45. If they can do like just, you don't even have to do like, you can have a limited edition. It can be a very limited edition, bro.
Well,
that would be incredible, bro.
We are making a script book. We are making the soundtrack album. We are making the Blu-ray. I would love to do like a power record. It's very funny you say that. I mean, you'd have to do a cut down version, but I talked to Mike Bawden. Mm-hmm. I really want to do a 12 volume or 12 disc box set that has the 10 episodes on 10 records
and a double disc in the sleeve, bro. Oh my god, that would be dope.
I want to do a whole full-on thing. And by the way, I got to say the artwork, again, talk about YouTube. Bartos, our artist, he contacted me out of the blue. He lives in Transylvania.
Word.
And he, watches the show and said, "Hey, is there anything I can do for you?" And I said, like Apone in Aliens, I don't know. What can you do? Well, I can drive that loader over there. So Bartos was doing all this artwork.
Yeah.
And
killed it.
A link because of social media. And he's
killed it, bro.
He's done an incredible job. I mean, and we've got posters and
absolutely amazing, bro.
Amazing. And he was a guy that like he did that.
Amazing, bro.
How cool is that?
Bro, this is absolutely amazing. And here's the beauty of this space that we created, this YouTube space, is that you're meeting artists from all Ren's Talentino, bro. I have so many pieces from Ren's Talentino. He has taken up too many walls in his house, bro. Ren's Talentino's pieces I actually have in my collection.
Matt Ferguson's Star Trek pieces from Vice Press in the UK.
See?
His Star Trek stuff. I mean, but when Bartos contacted me, like he has that weird, that it's not weird, it's great style. I told him, I said, I need a logo.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I'm not very good at logos." I'm like, "Really?" And you can take any font, but the way you put the filigranes or whatever, and that's become, I can say something. I'm going to say something I haven't really told anyone. But so Max Allen Collins called me up and he goes, I've written a novella. There's a couple novellas about Nathan Heller, and it's like 100-page novella. And the novella is called Dying in the Post-War World. And I'm like, well, what is it about? And he said, well, there was a serial killer story that actually really happened. It was called the Lipstick Murders, where at one of the murder scenes, a killer had written in lipstick, "Stop me before I kill again." And I said, "You've already written this novella?" He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "What if I were to write you a screenplay?" And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. And he did it. So now it's set in 1947, which is True Noir. The assassination of Anton Cermak is set in 32 and 33.
Yeah.
But now, Nathan in 47, Nathan Eller's married. He's about to become a father, and he gets embroiled in a real lurid serial killer case that also involves the death of a small child.
Mm.
And he wrote a screenplay. And you know what? The screenplay is great. And you know what I want to do? I'll give you one guess.
Create that audio. Let's
So,
go.
We're gonna keep this Nathan Heller
Yeah.
train like it's like the Dixie Flyer that
Get that. It's almost like, you know, who is it? Jack, like a Reacher or like a Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
mean
just keeping the characters going.
we always thought of this. It's an IP, you know,
Yeah.
and what's really interesting, there was a lot of talk like 20 years ago about transmedia, how
Mhm.
you could do storytelling in different mediums,
Mhm.
but it was like what I would like to do is we have Michael Rosenbaum,
Mhm.
and I would love to do Michael Rosenbaum do audiobooks with Michael
Yeah.
Rosenbaum,
Mhm.
do a movie with
Yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum, and
Yeah.
cast it with all these great character actors, and then do a streaming series with Michael Rosenbaum
Yeah, bro.
and cover the entirety of mid-century America. You go from 32 when Nathan Heller is 26
Mhm.
to the end of the 60s. And you
Yeah.
cover like I said, the audio dramas would take us from the 30s into the 40s.
Mhm.
The the it's true noir dying in the post-war world. The movie is a serial killer story based on a really, it's almost David Lynchian. It's so weird, but it
Mm.
really happened, and it makes for a great. The script that Max wrote is great. It's just as good as the audio.
He's
Great.
entrusting you to do this, bro. Like
Oh yeah,
he's
we're gonna.
really I think the motivation is how well this turned out, bro.
I
And
think so
the
too.
fact
Now we just have to get it out there. You know, it's hard
yeah,
in this day and age. It's really tough because
we gotta push it.
the amount of money we would need to make the movie, and it's not that expensive. But Hollywood would say, okay, well, that's great. The first thing we have to do is someone's going to rewrite Max. We're going to recast Nathan Heller with somebody, and you're not going to direct. And I'm like,
That's the
that will
yeah.
not happen because it's my IP. And the fact is,
Exactly,
we're going to
bro.
make you a great movie that's going
Yeah.
to, and I think that Amazon or Apple, it's
Mhm.
perfect for them. I mean, I think we know what we're doing.
Independent is the way, bro. Independently
Michael
putting behind
Rosenbaum is
yourself.
Nathan Heller. And by the
Yeah.
way, he would kill on camera as Nathan
Yeah.
Heller.
Hell yeah,
Kill.
bro. Hell yeah. Hell
So
yeah, bro. Like, listen, bro, like just watching this from behind the scenes. I mean, you name dropping is one. When you drop, yeah, when he dropped, you already know Katie Sackhoff. I was like, come on, man,
I,
really?
I couldn't believe it
It's like, come on, man, really?
because I had people tell me she'll never do the show.
Man, what?
And
She's
by the
the
way, not only
nicest
she
person in the world,
she
bro.
was, I have to tell you, there's actors, like if we make a Nathan Heller movie, if we
Yeah,
do True Noir, dying in the
yeah,
post-war world, if we did that movie, I would hire her. Like, I don't know what she would do. Like, she's an actress. I don't want to make something, you know, some of my favorite directors, like Woody Allen had this company of players.
mhm,
Martin Scorsese has a company of players. You
yeah,
know, all these, Spielberg uses a lot of the same actors. And you
mhm,
had Richard Dreyfuss, who was in Jaws and Close Encounters.
mhm,
To create a company of players that you keep going back to. I mean, how many Leonardo DiCaprio movies did Scorsese make? And with Robert De Niro, and
mhm,
to create a company of players and make these Wes Anderson, his new trailer recently dropped, and to see the people that you create a company of players and also technical people behind the scenes
yeah,
that help you realize these, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Our composer Alexander Bornstein,
mhm,
he is the sound of True Noir. Like, I would
mm,
never, his musical, his themes, we would
yeah.
never, like John Williams is the sound of Star
No,
Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Now you can have people come in and he can't do everything, but
It's the
he
perfect
set the
marriage,
tone
bro.
for almost 50 years.
Yeah. It's the perfect when you meet those people, like when you meet that person and they are really, really committed to what it is you're doing, it's the perfect. It becomes the absolute perfect marriage, bro.
Yeah, and the thing about everybody wants an IP. The great thing is there's 19 novels,
Mm-hmm.
and people should rediscover them because Max's writing is so rich.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he does crazy stuff. There's a UFO Nathan Heller novel about Area 51
Mm-hmm.
called Magic Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an Amelia Earhart. Some people are talking about they solved the Amelia Earhart mystery recently. He
Mm-hmm.
has an Amelia Earhart novel. There's the Forging of Las Vegas, the Neon Mirage that deals with the same stuff that the movie Bugsy dealt with.
Yeah.
Nathan Heller is involved in that. Carnal Knights, which is an event that actually happened in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
He's covered it all. And assuming, and we've proven, like I recently watched the Sam Spade, Monsieur Spade, where Clive Owen was in that, and
Mm-hmm.
he's in France. People love the period piece crime thrillers. You can never go wrong. And when
Bro,
you have Max's his
mm-hmm.
rich writing, it's an endless well of stuff we can tap into.
we just Toy and I just watched this show on I think it's I think it's on I don't know if I don't think it's on Netflix. I think it's on Hulu. It might be on Hulu. I think it's called A Thousand Blows.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
It's a period piece. It's about, pretty much these two I don't know if they're Jamaican or West Indians who basically who moved to London, old period London, and they became boxers, but they were also entangled in this who the guy that played it. I don't know, did you watch it's a great show on Netflix called Adolescence.
Oh, dude, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So
The father,
the father is
Stephen
in it.
Graham.
Yeah, Ethan. Yeah, he's in it, and also the girl who played the counselor to the kid. She's in it as well.
She was that episode 3 of Adolescence was,
and it was incredible, bro.
Unbelievable.
It was incredible. The kid.
That was the first thing he's ever done, and that episode was the first episode they shot.
He's phenomenal, bro.
Unbelievable.
Like literally that entire, and it was only like what, 5 episodes, I believe.
4.
Like 4 episodes. Yeah, only 4 episodes. And it was gut-wrenching incredible. The long car ride from his house to like their Home Depot and what happens there and him throwing, bro, it was phenomenal. Like it's like one of the number 1 shows on Netflix right now. You know what I mean? Like they killed it. So yeah, A Thousand Blows, you got to watch that, bro. But it's a period piece. It's more like a period piece, and you would love it if you saw it, bro. If you watched it the whole way through, it's incredible.
By the way,
it's definitely incredible.
Since we've been on this show, I received from Mike McDonald from Private Island Audio, I am sending the final True Noir long play version to you now.
Word.
It'll take about an hour to upload. It's 18 gigabytes.
Yes, sir.
And it's 4 hours and 27 minutes long.
Yes, sir.
And it is coming.
Yes, sir.
So
let's go.
Wow.
Let's go.
That's
I cannot wait, bro. I cannot wait. People out there, listen, I did this personally because not just because I wanted you to talk about it, but because I need people to listen to it. Like me and Toya, are going to literally take some time and sit down and during the holiday season, go back and revisit, bro, because it needs it. This is the thing, is it needs that play. Like, you know how like every Easter they play the 10 Commandments, bro. That's how it's going.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. I am with you 100% on that, because
it's an amazing piece of work, bro.
Well, thank you. I really, it means a lot coming from you too, because we've been friends for a long time. And some people get weird about that. By the way, I have it. I just got the whole. So during this conversation,
yes,
I've received. I mean, it's going to take me a while 18 gigs, dude.
Yes,
18 gigs.
He just finished 18 gigs of putting it together, bro.
And he's sending me the stems. So I have 8 stems. So I've got, this is the crazy thing. So you've got with a 5.1 mix, you have left, right, center, low
Mhm.
frequency, left surround, and right surround. So you have
Yep.
5.1. So there's 6 channels of audio. Then I got the left and right stereo pairs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've got that's 40 hours, well, almost 40 hours of stuff.
That you got to
And
come. Yeah.
that is insane. It is insane.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, we got 34 people in here watching right now, man. More to come. Make sure that you, if you're listening right now, hit that like button first of all, but definitely go in, download this. You have to listen to it. The privacy of your own home. You will definitely enjoy it like I do. Rob, thank you for coming through, man. I definitely appreciate having you here doing this. It definitely means a lot.
Well,
You
thank you.
know,
It means a lot that you reached out and that you wanted to do this. Thank
yes.
you so much.
I definitely wanted to do this. You can tell anybody, like, whenever, if you want to continue to promote it, if you want to get the actors together, some of the people involved that want to actually sit down and talk about this, bro, I am game. Let's go. Everybody out there, like, pretty much support it. Please, I implore you to support it. The link is definitely there in the description. As always, man, it's an honor, bro. I appreciate having you come through and talk about this, man. And I can't wait to listen to that 4-hour cut, bro. It's
Yeah,
straight up.
I can't wait to hear it too. Finally finished, but
Yeah,
I want to thank you, Lael. It means a lot to have you here, or to have me
yeah.
here. Thank you so much, and
As always, bro.
it's
Appreciate
been
it.
great.
Appreciate it. We got my man my Canadian friend Chewy's Vanderleer. Thanks for this, both of you, Leon, Rob. You're both an inspiration, man. Thank you so much for that, man. We
Very
definitely appreciate
that.
that. Definitely, man. But definitely check it out. Everybody out there, please take a listen because it's definitely worth it. But for me, and my man Rob, thank you guys for tuning in. We will talk to you guys later on. Peace, love, and all that good stuff, man. We are out. Let's go. Let's